I'm Reverend Sister Rosemary Bassi, a daughter of St. Paul, currently working here in Lagos, Nigeria. This book, Youth and Suicide, I was inspired to write this book because of the prevalence of suicidal tendencies at the time I was writing this book. And was still many seminarians and religious sisters who were discontinued from continuing their vocation were taking their lives. And they were mostly young people in the society, young people in the religious life. So I was inspired also to write this book due to the fact that as I was carrying out youth counseling, peer counseling, my experience and encounters with my clients also inspired me to write on this topic of suicide, because majority of my clients were either contemplating suicide or some had attempted suicide and were survivors. They did not succeed to commit suicide. So as a part of my responsibility to encourage young people not to think of suicide as the solution to their problems or as an easy way to ease their pain and sorrow, I thought of writing a book so that it can encourage them and give them the courage to live and to also learn to triumph and persevere in times of problems of life. Suicide is not only the problem of young people. When I say young people, this is the age range between 6 and 35 years of age. However, many adults above the ages of 6 and 35 contemplate and carry out suicidal acts. Because I have a special passion for the young people. That is why I focused my attention on the young people. However, this book also can be very helpful for adults who contemplate suicide, because the symptoms and what happens to young people who contemplate suicide or even succeed to carry out this act also happen to adults who contemplate suicide and carry out this act. The church has done a lot over the years to instruct people, especially the Catechism of the Catholic Church teaches extensively on the preservation of life. Preservation of life because as human beings, our natural tenet should be to preserve and safeguard the dignity of human life. And so taking away one's life is a sin. It is opposed to the 6th commandment. So the church continues to teach about preservation of life. And then apart from the Catechism of the Catholic Church teachings, we also have the prescripts of the canon law. Before Vatican II Council, the church understood suicide differently, because a suicide victim was not buried on sacred grounds like churches, convents. They were buried outside to show the gravity of their sin. But after Vatican II and the new canonical prescripts, the church looks at this phenomenon of suicide differently, because they see this act as an act that is carried out by a person who is not completely in control of their mental state. So the church says the mercy of God surpasses human understanding. So the church sympathizes with suicidal victims, those who have succeeded to carry out this act of taking their lives. So now the church can bury a suicidal victim. The church can bury this suicidal victim even in church premises and in convents or in rectories or in seminary without discrimination, because they look at this person as in need of God's mercy. And if we look at the mercy of God with our own limited perspective, it may not allow us to act as God would act before this kind of people in the society. So the church has done a lot to prevent this, also by providing pastoral care for people who are mentally traumatized by situations of life. We have our pastors in the church, the priests, catechists, seminarians. We have pastoral agents, the reverend sisters in parishes. They can offer counseling services. We have experts who can counsel people who have problems of life and cannot handle these problems on their own. So the church continues to provide pastoral care, provide teachings that guide people to live good lives and preserve life, and continues also to accompany people even to their point of death. Having taken their lives, the church does not abandon people who have fallen victims of these circumstances. For those contemplating suicide or even survivors of suicide, I would say, my dear brother, dear sister, take life easy. Be courageous to face life. Don't look at life as something that you have only to benefit and something you don't have to sacrifice. No. Be patient. If your time has not yet come for God to bless you, to make you financially rich, or make it in life as you want, be patient. Take life easy. Count on God, trust in God, and do all you can in your power to improve yourself, to solve little problems you have. Learn to share your problems with people you can trust. Even if you cannot trust people around you, you can trust your pastors. If you cannot trust your pastors, you can trust counselors who give professional help to alleviate any problem you are carrying with you. Don't keep problems to yourself, because eventually it may come out in different ways to disturb you mentally, and also can push you to having psychological problems and suicidal ideation. So my words of advice is for you to learn to share, learn to be patient, learn to wait and trust in God, who acts in His own time and in His own way. The final message I'll leave for the people is, please be positive about life. Look at life positively. Learn to take one day at a time. And also learn to appreciate life. Value the gift of life. And don't think that because God has given you this life, it is totally yours. No, none of us has the right to take our lives, because it is a gift. And so we shouldn't abuse this precious gift of life. We should learn to value it and also take care of it, not only our own life, but also the lives of people entrusted to us and the lives of those around us, because we have this Christian responsibility and we have this human responsibility, not only Christians, but human responsibility to preserve life, to protect life, and to promote its growth from conception to the final end, natural end, not misusing it.